Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Sire Studios digital network. That is siredigital.com. Or better yet, go to youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire. You kind of get the pattern after a while. secretsofthesire.com. Tonight, Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, Truth or Trash, 2019 comic book movie report card, and we're happy to be joined by a special guest, Jordan Ellis from Jordandené.
Hello, how are you?
And the Sartorial Geek. As always, I am your host, Michael Dolce, and I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir? Mr. Lord of the Radio. You're still doing the Lord of the Radio thing, though, even though we're streaming live. And
yeah, I got six more months on it.
That's it?
And then the payments are up, and then I can switch the title out. So I'm still Lord of the Radio.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Miss Jordan, how are you doing tonight?
Great. How are you?
Not too bad. Why don't you tell our audience very briefly a little bit about yourself and what you do in this geek world that we seem to inhabit?
Yeah, I run a Geek Chic fashion brand, which is like apparel and accessories and home goods with a feminine twist. And I also, last year, we just had our 1-year anniversary, started the Sartorial Geek, which is a print magazine, podcast, website, social hangout, which is like a geeky lifestyle brand.
I love the fact that you're doing print. Like, what was the decision there? I mean, we come from old school print background. We were both at Wizard Magazine when there was a magazine. So tell us a little bit about the magazine. I'm very, very curious about that.
Yeah, it wasn't like a super easy financial decision. There's not like a ton of money being made in print magazines.
No.
Man,
but it actually it worked out great. My college best friend is an editor, and I have a bunch of friends in design, so we just decided that we could like afford it for now, and it was a way to stand out. So
awesome.
For now, we have a real print magazine.
Well, we are excited. We'll learn a little bit more about you as well later in the show. All right, people. Spider-Man Far From Home. We actually had an entire show set up and ready to go all about the 4 movies that have come out in 2019. We'll still do something about that later. But immediately, boom, Spider-Man Far From Home trailer hits. Initial thoughts, Hassan? Are we it's the first post Avengers Endgame, which I guess, again, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, just like Spider-Man himself said before the trailer, please avert your eyes and ears because we will get spoilerish here. What was your initial thoughts?
They jumped right into the spoiler. Like the
first
seconds of the trailer was a major spoiler for Endgame. Look, it looks good. It looks interesting. A couple of people are complaining already, and I don't know if I disagree with them or not about the fact that Spider-Man's kind of like Iron Man. He's got an Iron Man suit, and it does seem like a little later into the movie, he changes out into his regular suit, his own, his older suit. So maybe he's gonna try to take up the Iron Man mantle and then decide he should be Spider-Man. Maybe that's one of the tropes in the film. It looks good. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see Mysterio supposedly a good guy.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that in a little bit for sure.
I'm interested in seeing it.
Yeah.
It didn't blow me away. But, very few trailers have blown me away recently. Even the trailer for Endgame didn't really blow me away. So I'm sure it'll be good. I'm sure it'll be another hit for Sony and MCU. I'm interested in seeing it. I thought it was a good trailer.
Jordan, what were your thoughts originally? Or initially, I should say.
Yeah, I'm like a super fan. So I'm usually like lean towards fan instead of leaning towards critic, especially before it's come out. I mean, it seems like it's gonna be great. I loved Homecoming, so I'm excited if this is as good as Homecoming.
It really, just from Homecoming and seeing this trailer, it really does have its own brand of Spider-Man, especially coming off of the kind of dark-esque Andrew Garfield run that Sony tried to put out. So I think there's a definitive, opposite reaction in everything
farce.
Well,
that farce that he did.
that was the Dark Spider-Man Returns, I guess.
Stalking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Stalking
He was so jittery. Screen Rant actually broke it down for us, so I'm going to give him a little bit of credit there. Spider-Man Far From Home trailer breakdown. Here are the big points from the trailer that I thought were very important, and one especially we're going to get into in just a little bit. Peter Parker grieving Tony Stark's death. You kind of mentioned that earlier, Hassan. It definitely seems as if he's trying to take on that mantle. Whether that's good or bad, look, at least it follows, right? At least it follows the chronology there.
Yeah.
The Iron Spider suit.
It's consistent with the MCU.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing in the MCU.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. One that I thought was very interesting that they wrote was the snap tore a hole in our dimension. So again, for all of those out there, please, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, that's it. We're giving no more warnings. You could also watch our podcast last week on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire, where we review Avengers Endgame.
And now we've officially exonerated ourselves from being alive for spoilers. Okay, so good. So I can ask you, which snap do you think?
Well, that was one of the things, right? It's very unclear as to which snap Fury's referring to. There were 4 across the 2-part movie. Most likely, he means the one that Thanos maybe did, wiping out half of them, or this is according to Screen Rant. My own...
4? How are there 4? I thought there were 3.
There was the original...
There was the original snap, then there's the snap that Hulk did.
And then there was Iron Man, that's 3, and then I think there was one in between...
Well, Thanos tried it, but he didn't have the stones on the gauntlet.
Yeah.
So there's only 3 snaps.
Well, Screen Rant clearly did not do their editing job. See,
that's
Jordan, you have to hire your friend to work on Screen Rant when they publish their articles. I mean, I think that's pretty blatant and clear. So here's my big thing, and the more and more I think about Avengers Endgame, the more it bothers me. Not that it's a bad movie. It's a very good movie. It's well done. It's well executed. But it bothers me the course that they ended up going, because there's a lot of confusion now in my head about this multiverse that Peter Parker, talks about in there. There's a lot of confusion in terms of like alternate realities. Mysterio is supposedly, I guess, according to this trailer, from an alternate reality. And he's, whether or not that's true or not, obviously we'll take that with a grain of salt, being that Mysterio is one of Spider-Man's greatest arch villains. But the number one thing that bothers me is this is supposed to be 5 years later. What did Peter's entire graduating class just happen to be disappeared, and now they're all back? Like, how does that work? Why 5 years? Why 5 years? Just do 1 year.
I think that's the conversation that's been happening in my friend group the most, is like, how are they all in the same grade? Are they all in the same grade? What? Yeah. How old is that? I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I bet you it's going to be one of those things they're going to explain in one sentence at the very beginning of the film, that the entire class was, we were all dead and now we're alive again, and now we have to, and we still have to finish high school. And that's exactly how they're going to clean the whole thing up.
You do have to give Marvel credit. They do tend to address any kind of issues that their films might have in the subsequent films. So yes, you're probably right, and they probably will exactly make it a pop culture reference to how crappy this might feel.
Yeah.
But that being said, it still was one of those things that just it didn't make sense.
You know what? Like, didn't we covered this last week? And the conclusion we kind of came to, or some of us came to. I don't know if you agreed with it. I think you might have disagreed with it. But the conclusion that some of us came to was that it was to make Infinity War significant. If they just came back this movie, if you waited a year for them to just come back and erase everything that happened in the last film, that would have made the entire film kind of irrelevant, or it would have made it would have messed up the rewatchability of it. Plus, as a storyteller, if you're a writer, if you're a storyteller, you have an extinction level event that took place.
Yeah,
you're going to want to draw out as many legs from that event dramatically as humanly possible. And so if you just say, okay, they blinked out human existence, but 6 months later we brought all humans back, then there's no real
but a year later is, I think, a little bit just as weighty as 5. And I don't understand the scene where they're talking about, like, I miss the Mets. It's like 9/11 hit, and not to be like realistic and whatnot, but 9/11 hit, we were playing baseball a month later. it's been 5 years.
9/11
Surely
was
they can
3,000
field a
people.
baseball team at this point. I don't understand what.
9/11 was 3,000 people.
No, I get it.
The
I get
snap is 3 billion people. I think they might cancel a couple of games after,
Yeah, but not after 5 years. 5 years is a long time. I mean, it's a really long time. The only reason I thought that they did 5 years was to give Iron Man a grown child that we could somehow, grow attached
Well, maybe
to.
there's that. I submit to you there's a possibility that there's probably a bigger reason for it, and it will come up narratively, and we just don't know anything about it yet. So, I mean, it's not unfair to debate it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a reason they did it, because you're right. It is a pretty drastic plot point.
Do you think it has anything to do with the merger with Fox?
No.
No? Jordan?
No.
X-Men
I have
characters?
no
Fantastic
idea.
Four? If you give it 5 years for them to somehow have blended into the universe, because that's the big thing people are talking about as well too, and that's something we kind of get into when we talk about.
In what way though? How would that make it easier?
I don't know. I don't know, but I know that he's talking about a multiverse. He's talking about all these different things.
The multiverse, I think, is going to be pretty much a way so you can get characters like Iron Man and Loki and even Captain America. You can still have them making cameos, and you can still get them back for various adventures. They'll just be different versions of themselves, especially Black Widow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see all kinds of narrative possibilities with the multiverse opening up, but along with the Spider-Verse, which we already know is a thing,
right?
In Marvel, in the comic book universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, I get the multiverse. I don't know how 5 years would allow them to kind of assimilate Fox in a smoother way. It seems like it would actually make more problems than it would solve.
Well, but that's the choice they made in Avengers Endgame too, where they decided to do it. They really said we're not just going 5 years in the future. Like everything that happened. So there's not exactly a lot of stories to tell in between when Thanos succeeded and they reversed the effects of Thanos by 2023. If it's 2023 to begin with, but we're assuming it is because of what Iron Man said in the movie, talking about 2018 and all this other stuff. And going back in time specifically to the years. I mean, they put the years up there. So, I don't know. I think it's one of those things that it's just going to bug us until we actually, like you said, they do explain it.
Well, in all fairness, it's not going to bug us.
Oh, okay.
It's going to bug you. I'm all right with it.
Did you like the spider pun? Bug? Huh?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you got to be quick on this one.
Yeah, this happens a lot. I apologize to our guests.
Jordan, what is your...
You have to duck the puns. You really have to duck it.
Getting into this geek sphere, what was your entry point for you into the Marvel universe or into the comic book movie universe?
Yeah, so I never read comics growing up. So I've read a couple now that the movies have been happening and I'm into them. But that's what's kind of interesting. I have a lot of friends who have read all of them. So they sort of when we watch the movies, they're like, oh, this is maybe this or this is maybe this. And other than them telling me, I have no context for anything that hasn't just happened in the movies that I can watch. The Marvel movies coming out was wow, there are really good superhero movies, and there are a lot of them. That is the first time that's happened in my lifetime, which was really cool.
In any of ours.
Yeah. So
much.
having the MCU and then also having it be relatable, I can go home and watch it with my family for Christmas, and all of my friends have seen them, which is cool that it's a very accessible nerd thing too. Most people have seen some of them, if not all of them, which is pretty incredible for something this nerdy.
No, I think
I got high school bullies who beat the crap out of every nerd in school for reading comic books, who are now, IMing me or Facebooking me to ask me what I thought of various MCU movies, which actually just, to me, it's kind of like the seventh sign of the apocalypse that you have who are now, that the geek culture has taken over so much that you now have jocks basically checking in with their with their their underling geeks to try to see the integrity of these stories.
That to me is the number one difference I see. There is no such delineation now between a jock and a nerd. I mean,
no, not anymore.
You know, if you
look at the Flash Thompson that they have in Spider-Man. He looks like he's with the chess club.
Right.
He doesn't look like a jock anymore.
Like if you look at, we're a big '90s band fan, and Pearl Jam being one of our favorites. You know, they used to talk about Jeff Ament, who's the bassist, was like, yeah, I had to hide my athletic background. He was like a starting point guard for his high school team and his college team. He's like, I had to hide that from my friends because they were all like geek musicians and things like that. Now it's all just, you're just out there. You know, I don't think there's as much delineation, especially when it comes to this stuff that we're talking about. Everyone's a fan. It's larger than life. So it's great to hear as well, too, that you started out with the movies and then migrated to the comics. That's a massive complaint that a lot of folks have, that the movies don't exactly bring in people to comic book stores. And it doesn't exactly bring them to it, but
it did for me. Because it's kind of like what Hassan was just saying. Like, you have this like secret knowledge if you actually grew up reading them. Like, you know things that people who have only seen the movies now want to know. Like, you have this whole huge, like, you know so many things about stories. And even in Endgame, I felt like there were things that happened that I could tell they were important, and I sort of knew why, but like my friends were like, I've been waiting for decades to see this. It meant so much more. So I think it's really cool that you can sort of like get that secret in of like just understanding more if you read the comics.
We are a big fan of segues, and that is a terrific segue to one of the things that people are talking about. The stealth suit and the multiverse equals Secret Wars. Hassan, well, first of all, Jordan, do you have any idea what Secret Wars is? See, there you go. This is fantastic. So you are going to take your...
But you got to spoil it for her, though.
Well, yes, I am.
Okay.
Your stint on our show, and you're going to take this back to your nerdy friends, and you're going to impress... You're going to, like, out-nerd the nerds.
Perfect.
They're going to be very excited.
Out-nerd
You're going
the
to
nerds.
up your nerd cred tremendously after this conversation. So
her lifelong ambition is to up her nerd cred, I bet.
isn't that everyone?
Yes.
It is though. Like, I sell at Comic-Cons all the time. That's what I do. And so I'll like very, very often I'll be like, oh, you know way more about this than me.
Well, here you go. Here's something big to know. And then also you do understand that Mysterio is one of Spider-Man's longtime nemesis, right?
I didn't know that.
Now you do.
Wait. We got to ask her. Does she know the name of the group of Spider-Man's primary nemesis or nemesi?
Nemesi. It's Nemesi, isn't it? Right.
I think it's nemesi.
All right. Well, we did a little trivia last week. We'll do some entry level trivia right here.
It wasn't a trick question either. It was just.
I don't know.
He's like, no, I got nothing. I got nothing already. There was 6 particular villains that made up this. What is it? A sextet? What's
sextet?
Sextet, right?
Yeah, it's a sextet.
Mysterio being
probably why they just call them the 6. Sextet. You can't sell that to kids.
The Sinister Sextet. I mean, I don't see what's wrong with that. I think that makes sense. That's an amazing group.
Yeah.
Hassan,
it's the next band.
I just got a brilliant stroke of genius. I'm going to use brilliant and genius in the same sentence. We are going to create the Sinister Sextet comic book.
And then we're going to get arrested. And so
no, just ask to leave. I don't think they'll actually arrest. They'll arrest if we don't leave.
Yeah, just ejected, not arrested. Right. We'll get ejected. Okay, no. That'll work. That'll give us credit.
Mysterio was part of the Sinister Six. That was all of Spider-Man's baddest of baddies getting together and doing it. So that leads me into the Polygon article, which is, do we trust Mysterio? Spider-Man Far From Home's trailer mentions multiverse and what it could mean for the Marvel Universe. But first, what exactly is Mysterio's end game here? The new trailer gives us a healthier helping of the plot of Far From Home. beyond the teens have European adventures vibe we've seen in the earlier ones. In addition to playing with the fallout from Avengers Endgame, Peter will be called into action by Nick Fury and Agent Hill, who are working with another guy in a costume, Quentin Beck, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. By the way, we all know the irony here, too, that Jake Gyllenhaal was supposed to replace Tobey Maguire in the original Spider-Man film.
So theoretical.
Jordan, you take that back again, and you can whip all of this knowledge out.
That's so crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm. He was almost...
He kind of looks like Tobey. He looks a little...
Yeah, now that you say that, that makes so much sense.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, but then in the show Entourage, Vinny Chase played Aquaman, got kicked out because of a contract dispute, and they said, hypothetically, Jake Gyllenhaal actually replaced him as Aquaman in Aquaman 2. We could have used someone like you in my world, Beck says as he shakes Peter's hand. Beck is from Earth, Fury explains, just not ours. The snap tore a hole in our dimension. If the Far From Home trailer is to be believed, Beck is a hero, asking for Peter's help in defeating a series of elemental monsters and doling out sage advice on how to be a superhero. Except for one thing in the comics, Quentin Beck is a lying liar who lies. So I like Polygon. Much better
those guys.
Much better writing.
I hate lying liars who lie.
Mm-hmm.
I hate them.
That's a triple.
I'd rather a liar.
But that's a triple negative. So again, if a double negative would have meant he was very truthful. Triple negative.
Yes. It cancels itself out. But the extra lie means he's an actual liar.
Yes. So in the comics, Beck is known as Mysterio, one of Spider-Man's earliest and most notorious foes. What he's famous for is fooling lots of very powerful people with very powerful illusions. You gotta figure that's what this is. You gotta figure these elemental, even though we have, bits of Sandman, Molten Man, we have Hydro. Who's the fourth one, though? I don't really know who that one would be, actually.
Sandman, Molten Man, Hydro. In this particular movie?
I mean, if they're basing it off of any of the Spider-Man villains.
I don't know. I couldn't.
We'll just call him Windman and be done with it.
Windman,
even though it's not.
Okay, but
close to accurate.
Do you think it's possibly a double blind?
New brilliant idea, Windman. We need to make it. Let's go. We're going to start this right now. Do you think it's a double blind being what?
That Mysterio. We actually think that Mysterio is faking and he's actually a villain, but he's actually a good guy, and everybody's going to think he's going to be a villain. And then you're gonna discover that the Mysterio from that particular universe is a hero, and probably the Spider-Man from that universe is the villain.
Do you think they're gonna pull a Mandarin?
Yeah, maybe so. Where he's not, or maybe this will be the origins of him becoming a villain. No,
I think he's clearly going to be a villain. I think it's going to be one of those things where he is pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, he's Mysterio. He pulls the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
So isn't that kind of a dead giveaway as we're watching the trailer that he's already the villain?
No, these movies aren't made for us, Hassan.
I also didn't know that.
See, they are made for Jordan. These movies are made for Jordan. Jordan had no idea before this, and now we've completely ruined the film for her. And it's awesome.
What do you mean?
I feel like we've done a great job. We'll see you guys next week. We've had a really podcast today. We've ruined it for her.
For yet another soul has lost their entertainment value of the MCU because of us. Thank you.
That's like what I was saying. I always watch the movies with people who know more than me. So sometimes they'll let me know ahead of time, and sometimes they won't. But it's funny to sit next to people who are in the know. While I'm just I don't know what's happening.
Well,
I kind of take issue with that because some of the the Easter eggs and the call outs are definitely meant for hardcore fans.
Sure.
Starting all the way back with Thanos in the beginning in Avengers. Also Adam Warlock, which was hinted at. I mean, no, they don't really bother to give you too much detail, but they know that the fans know. So there's a lot of stuff in there just for fans.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the post credits are you don't have context. So if you don't know who they are,
right.
I mean, sometimes it's from another movie, but yeah, I think a lot of the post credits, I'm what is that?
Yeah, it's too bad for you if you don't know.
That's a great point. That the end credit scenes. Well, it's funny though because
it's you suckers. You could be home now and you're watching something you have no idea what you're looking at.
Well, as it's been chronicled, I go to these movies with my dad, who also has no context for these films, right? So we actually make it a nice father-son outing, and we go, and he has very, very limited. I mean, we're talking extremely limited knowledge of any of this stuff. So he even gets excited by the end credits, just to kind of see what's coming next, but it's completely a different experience when I'm like, oh, look, they're doing this guy, and this girl's going to be in this, and this is going to be something.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, who's that? And I'm just like,
that's me.
There was no end credit.
it's the Sinister Sextet, Dad. Don't worry, they're coming. It's going to be fantastic.
And there was no end credit for Endgame, which freaked a lot of people out.
Yeah, they're like, I waited in my theater for this.
Final. Yeah, it felt so like this is it. Like there's no hint at something else. This is
basically like thanks for your money. Go home. Go home.
We'll see you again in a week.
Yeah, right.
We'll see you again in a week. All right. Well, this segment is called Trailer, Truth, or Trash. The purpose of it is: do you think what we've seen in the trailer is actually going to be what transpires in the movie, and is it good or bad? So, Hassan, I'll leave it up to you. Is this trailer truth or trailer trash?
I think a lot of it is trailer trash.
I think it is.
I think a good deal of it is trailer trash. It was a good trailer. I enjoyed it, but I think they're pulling a double blind on us. I think they're snowing us.
Jordan, trailer truth or trailer trash?
I mean, I would never have even guessed that an hour ago. So
She's not even going to see it now. I mean, it's over now.
Yeah, it's ruined. She's going to read a book. She's going to crack open a book.
We've ruined it for her.
It's going to be a romance novel. She's going to go in the complete opposite direction.
I feel completely. I feel emboldened and empowered that we've ruined this for her. This is fantastic.
Yeah, but you shouldn't revel in it so much. You should.
I do.
You should feel a little remorseful. Show a little remorse for it.
No. This is how we went from a middling podcast to an upper middling podcast. So, by ruining things for people. Trailer truth or trailer trash, Jordan? What do you think?
I mean, I'm going to go with my initial gut, which is like, I loved it. I think,
all right.
I think it'll be great. So we'll see who's right.
Truth.
Fine.
I'm agreeing with Hassan, but that's exactly why we brought Jordan in, was simply to have someone to disagree with. All right. When we come back, mid-year report cards are ready for 2019. Introducing The Mainstream, created by Michael Dolce, Talent Caldwell, Tony Moy, and Darren Sanchez. It tells the story of an interdimensional police force, polices alternate realities, keeps bad guys from other worlds from getting into ours. Issue 5 in stores now. Order it at your local comic book store or go to mikebooks.com/store. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Sire Digital Network. You can go to siredigital.com and stream us. You can go to Sire Studios, Inc.com and stream us. And you, of course, can see us every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on secretsofthesire.com. Want to give a shout out to our beloved patrons on patreon.com/Secrets of the Sire. That's Craig Caruso. Either next week or probably next week. Christina Dolce, who's our Game of Thrones expert, because we'll be talking Game of Thrones for the next 2 weeks, essentially. I mean,
wow, how'd you book her?
I know, it's tough. Well, actually, ironically enough, she's off from work, so she can actually do this. Otherwise, there's no booking her. So,
are you flying her in? You're going to fly her in?
If by fly, you mean walk her gently down.
Down the stairs.
Then yes. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Good man.
You too can be a patron. You too can have your name shouted out on the interwebs across multiple channels and across multiple countries. We actually have a very strong Latin American following. I think it's Hassan, clearly.
Well,
right? You're big.
Yeah.
You're big. You're big and
I'm big. I'm big. All right. Okay.
You're big everywhere, actually. I mean, literally, you're a very large man. You take up a lot of space. It's very good.
Feels good. That's getting me where I live right there. Thank you.
For anybody who's joining us mid-show right now, you might sit there and say, "Well, Mike and Hassan,
why am I listening to them?
They look the same." But who is that with them? That is Jordan Ellis. Jordan, you are a Brooklyn-based, women-owned small business owner. Talk to us about what you do and your line of geek chic apparel.
Yeah, it started as, I guess like 7 years ago is when it officially started, because there wasn't a lot of nerdy, well-designed stuff that women would enjoy. Everything we make is unisex and like available to everyone, but initially, before like Her Universe came out and before Hot Topic was selling nerdy stuff, there just wasn't a lot of stuff that women liked in nerdy fashion. So there's a wide open space for that, and I got really lucky that I could like get in on that before it's. I appreciate how much less of a wide open space it is now. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to be a part of it.
And how did you get in? I mean, in terms of like, you know, simply designing clothes and whatnot. I mean, what was the business strategy to kind of make yourself stand out in this geek universe?
Yeah, it was Etsy at first, which is funny. It wasn't really supposed to be like a whole thing. And then this ended up taking more time than my real job. So I quit this full time. And then when I started selling at Comic-Cons, like I said, I stood out because there weren't a lot of female-owned businesses with stuff for women. So it was nice. I was able to start going. I think 5 years ago was my first New York Comic-Con, and so I've been selling all over the country ever since. And it's nice because there was so little for so long that like people sort of latched on to the brand, and we had a community right away because there was a
need, there was a hole there.
Stuff like this, yeah.
Awesome.
And then everything is super soft and comfortable, so that helps too.
Give us your standout Comic-Con experience. Everyone's got at least one. I could name a few off the top of my head, but what's your Comic-Con, like what's something that just stood out to you from, you know, anything from either being on the show floor, some sort of after party, sneaking into the dressing room of the Walking Dead cast? Like what happened? There's got to be something that stands out to you.
One of the first, I went to a Doctor Who convention that was very small, and so the guests were like roaming around. And the guy who plays Mickey from the beginning of the reboot came through, and I sell underwear, so he came through and like had nothing to do, and he started modeling them and like planning out an underwear photo shoot. It got really weird, but it was really fun. So that was one of my first celebrity interactions, and I was like, oh, this is not what I expected at all, but okay. It's one for the books.
That's awesome. And then you said you shifted over to Quarterly Magazine, Geeky Lifestyle Podcast. Like, what was the decision there?
Yeah, so I really like the clothing line, but like I said, there was a whole community of people that I met through that. And so there was a lot less, like I wanted to do more with the community that was kind of hard to do with just a clothing line. Yeah. So I had met all these really cool people, writers, designers, artists, fans, and wanted like a way to feature people and interact with them. So we just started the Sartorial Geek community, which is the podcast, the magazine. We have a blog and an online hangout. So it's like our way to, it's our way to have everyone meet each other and shout out other cool companies that we think are doing really neat things and interact with fans too.
Hassan's invitation's in the mail, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Excellent. All right. We were talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home, though, from the latest trailer that we just saw, really borrows heavily on Avengers Endgame. It really is the continuation from Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame is one of 4 movies to come out in 2019. And we're basically already to the halfway point. I know it's not officially the halfway point. June would be the halfway point, but Godzilla comes out May 31st.
Total or 4 comic book movies to come out in May?
We've had 4 comic book movies in the first.
Okay, yeah, but you said 4 movies like in general.
Oh yeah, that's it. I don't count anything.
Okay. I get you.
So I thought it was a good point in time to look back, and if you're going by trimesters, it's technically would be a trimester, a semester, you know, something graduation theme, because we're getting into prom season, we're getting into all that kind of stuff. What grades do you give Avengers Endgame, Hellboy, Shazam, Captain Marvel as the 4, and which one gets the Pack Leader Award? See, we're going back to yearbook photos, baby. We're going back to yearbook awards. We're going to do Pack Leader Award. Jordan, I will start with you. What grades? I know you didn't see Hellboy, which is that's actually better for you. You get a pass on that one.
I've seen some YouTube videos responding to Hellboy, and I might sit that one out.
I wish I got a pass on it.
Yeah, we kind of had to watch it because of this
I
podcast.
I didn't have to. I was made to, or by gunpoint.
Yeah, I wanted to see it. Like I loved the first ones, and I really love David Harbour.
If you like those first two, you would despise this one.
That's what I've heard from every single person.
David
Oh,
Harbour does a really great job, and supposedly Mike Mignola really loves this version over the previous two versions, but they're the only ones, you know. Everybody else,
it. I think it was that bad.
it was terrible. You know it.
It wasn't good.
And it lost $80 million, they estimate.
I know.
It's a mega flop.
Very, very poor stuff.
Yeah, we're not going to see Hellboy again for maybe another 20 years.
So
Probably.
they're rebooting it next year.
It's on
Avengers,
television.
Endgame, Shazam, Captain Marvel. Give us your grades right down the line and tell us why you chose the grade for these movies.
I'm like gonna be the worst at this. Like I said, I'm not a critic at all. So like I'm a super fan, and I really do appreciate almost everything. I mean, they all were exactly what I wanted them to be.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna be like that person that gives. I'm like the American Idol judge that's like everyone gets an A, but kind of. I think I really.
So let me ask you
perfect,
this:
but I really liked them.
did you walk out of the theater for those three movies with not the exact same feeling, but the same feeling of satisfaction out of all three?
I think I was the most pleasantly surprised by Shazam because I was expecting the least from it. And I think, so I'm seeing Endgame again this week because I've only seen it once so far, and it was very much me like just trying to handle what was happening. So I don't think I like can properly see it as a movie. It was more just like, who's dying? What's happening?
Sure.
I'm so stressed out. I think my favorite might have been Shazam, which is an insane thing. I feel like
Okay.
I really liked it.
Hassan, give me your grades, and you can include Hellboy in this as well too, because you saw it. Sorry.
I would give Hellboy a C, maybe a C minus. I wouldn't fail it, but I would give it a C.
Okay.
Mostly because of the fact that it was an unnecessary reboot, and it rebooted for no reason. It didn't do anything new, didn't break any new ground, didn't really improve on the original ones, whatever. But you know, look, the creator wanted it done. I have respect for the creator. You know, he's the one who knows best. But you know, this didn't work out for him. So. Oh, all right. I have to give Endgame an A.
Okay.
Because of their ability to pull off a spectacle. I have issues with the movie, but they seriously pulled a hat trick with that one. They stuck the landing. It was a really good follow up to Infinity War. So yes, I'll give that an A.
Okay.
Captain Marvel, give a B plus because it was another one of those situations where they kind of, you know, they pulled a rabbit out of the hat. Because that movie doesn't really, I mean, just because it's got to be their hype machine, and it's got to be their PR system at work there, and also their brand. It's a testimony to their brand how well that movie did. Because that movie is a good movie, but it's not. It's like it's on the level of Wonder Woman. It's a good movie, but it's $1 billion, almost $2 billion good movie. I don't know. So. But I'll give it a B plus for overall. Shazam. That's a tough one. Shazam, I'll give a B to B plus. I liked it a lot. I liked the actors in it. I thought it was really lackluster. The problem with Shazam is it just came out too close to Endgame.
Really?
Yeah, it's a good movie. It shouldn't be put next to an epic. It should be a movie that has enough breathing room to be appreciated for its own genre.
Yeah.
You know? And you sandwich it in between the Captain Marvel, which is a prelude to an epic, and then Endgame, which is the epic.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It just suffocated all the air out of the room.
One of the reasons I think Deadpool worked so well, the original one, was that it came out in a time that nothing else was coming out, and you really
and it was highly anticipated too, and it was very different. It was rated R.
You're right.
Yeah, so
it
had a lot going for it.
In a way, Shazam could be the exact same scenario in that it doesn't have a lot of expectations, but it's highly anticipated, and it is something different. Now, it's not R-rated different; it's just fun different, right? So,
Right.
I mean, and movie release dates, I mean, play a huge role. We talked about it last year when Deadpool 2 sandwiched itself in between Solo and Infinity War. And really,
it messed up Solo and Deadpool.
Yes.
It messed itself up in that move. So, well, you know what? Here's the thing about Shazam. Here's what ruined Shazam. And I haven't seen it again since it. But I've been able to think better of it. You know, I've been able to rethink about it. I really liked it. I enjoy the actors. I like the story. If when I see it on home video again or whatever streaming service, I'm sure I will find new appreciation for it. But the thing was, originally, the trailer didn't do anything for me. It looked really lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons I went to the theater to see, I was hoping that they were showing us all kind of the most mediocre scenes in the film, and then it was gonna broaden out, or you're gonna see some stuff that you didn't expect to see, and it would turn itself into a major epic.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't.
No.
It pretty much showed you exactly what it had in the trailer. So my expectations were met because it looked lackluster.
Okay.
They were not exceeded, which technically disappointed me. But the movie itself carried itself so well that I honestly did enjoy myself. So I'll give it a B to B+. Captain Marvel a B+. Hellboy C-.
Okay.
And Endgame an A.
All right.
I won't give it an A+, but I give it an A, definitely.
Thank God for the show. I disagree with you completely. I think my rundown here, Hellboy.
I don't care though. I'm turning my mic off.
Hellboy. As much as I kind of enjoyed myself, I give it a D+.
A D.
I give it a D+.
A worse score than I did.
Yes, because it was pretty bad. Like it just wasn't very.
Oh my God!
It was. I mean,
I told you it was bad. You argued with me about it.
I know, but ultimately, I'm giving it a D+. It's just a lot of schlock. It was trying to be a million different things. David Harbour was amazing in it. As Hellboy, I think he was fantastic, but that's not enough to save this movie. I mean, there's a lot of this movie where I'm just going, "Whoa, what just happened there?" Well, that was okay. Oh boy, all right then. That was an interesting choice.
I'm actually insulted now because I really could have ripped that movie, but I was being both you and our guest, and now you're ripping the film.
Jordan didn't have anything to do with the movie.
I was just you don't want to tear things down in front of new people. You don't. You want to have character.
That's actually my number one rule. It's actually
tear things down in front of new people.
Tear them down. The next on my list, this is chronological. I'm actually going to go Avengers Endgame. I'm going to say it's a solid B. Again, the decision not to make it a part 2, I actually think kind of fault.
Shazam an A.
It faulted the movie for me, in which case, they didn't beat Thanos. They beat the Thanos they haven't seen yet, the Thanos that didn't actually accomplish his goals yet. They went 5 years in the future for no reason. They created rules that they
don't know for no reason yet. You can't make assumptions.
Well, look, I'm just saying.
It's a serialized story, but you know that the answer to that is coming.
Yeah.
Or some kind of explanation to that is coming.
Yeah.
You're making a snap judgment.
I am making a snap judgment.
No, I agree though, because if the movie leaves you with like unlimited questions.
Normally, you're absolutely right. Normally, I absolutely agree. But these are unique serialized movies. That's the uniqueness of the MCU. So,
yeah, but this one was the capper. This was the end game. I mean, obviously, you gotta drop crumbs for the next series. But
I don't understand what the problem with 5 years is. You see, 5 years is not a problem for Endgame. It may or may not be a problem for the movies that follow it. So it's not Endgame's fault that the 5 years works for Endgame.
Again, immediately we're asking, how the heck is Spider-Man's entire graduating class?
But I mean, you can't answer that question. You don't know if that question is answered or not.
No, we don't.
And you wouldn't have, and that question would not come up if there was no Spider-Man follow-up. If there was no Spider-Man movie, you would not be asking how is that going to affect the Spider-Man movie. So it's not Endgame's fault; it's Spider-Man's fault that you're asking that question.
Yes, Kirsty.
My logic is flawless.
Minus the less.
Yes.
Next up in my rotation is
Shazam. I can guess the rest. I can guess. Shazam's gonna get an A.
Okay.
Captain Marvel's gonna get a C.
Okay. I'm gonna give Shazam a solid B plus. I think it's an awesome.
It just now.
No, I did not. And I'm giving Captain Marvel an A-.
What?
Yeah.
You did not like Captain Marvel.
No, I know I didn't, but I didn't think it was a bad film. I didn't like the fact that it was making billions and billions of dollars, and I couldn't understand why.
What are these grades on? What are these grades based on?
My own personal.
I mean, I feel like the money is. You can't ignore the fact that it's like the first female lead in a Marvel movie. If you're talking about that, is not like that doesn't bear on like the quality of the movie, but as far as how much money it made, that makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, and that's the reason it made the money. Now
people want to show up so that you get more of the thing you want.
I totally give it the respect that it deserves, and I think it's an
You didn't give it as good a grade as me, though.
So
I'm saying that has nothing to do with the quality of the film, but as far as like ticket sales, I think that makes a lot of sense.
But I understand that. But I was basing this grade system off of how I personally felt about the film, and not the accolades that the film got. But that's just Dolce not telling me the rules of the game as usual.
No.
Yeah,
I am basing it on my own personal feelings. I think Captain Marvel.
But you didn't tell me we're basing it on our personal. What do you mean? Wait, you didn't? No, not at all. Because I have it on tape.
I know. I have lots of problems with.
So how can it be your personal feelings?
I have some of my problems with a lot of the more politicized issues with the movie. However, I didn't think the movie was bad. I remember going on record saying it wasn't a bad movie. I didn't know why it was making so much money, but it didn't mean I didn't enjoy it. And out of the four, I got to be honest with you, I actually enjoyed it the most out of the four. Shazam.
I give Captain Marvel a B plus. You gave it a B plus. We used the same.
No, I gave it an A minus. Captain Marvel an A minus.
A minus.
Captain Marvel an A minus.
B plus.
It's really close.
But it's not.
I think it's a B plus.
It's not at all. If you get an 89 on a test and you get a 90 on a test. It's just better.
If you're grading on a curve, then it's the exact same thing.
I'm not grading on a curve.
Graded on a curve because this is America.
What I just graded it on. All right.
I don't know. I hate this show. I want off.
All right. Let's do a little fun here. We got a little bit of time left in this segment. Which character wins the Class Clown Award out of all these movies?
Explain that. Citation needed. Please explain that.
Remember, like in yearbooks, did you not go to high school and have like a yearbook?
I need a context of what you mean so that I can know how to pick and choose.
Who used to make you laugh in high school used to win the Class Clown Award?
I can tell you who many class clowns in my high school years were, but I doubt that that's what you're looking for.
Now take this analogy and apply it to the characters in these movies that we've seen in the first half of 2019.
Okay, you go first. Tell us how to play the game.
I think the Class Clown Award goes to Zachary Levi for making me laugh, doing an awesome job of doing so. My runner-up was the
Zachary Levi is who?
Shazam.
For the record, okay.
Shazam. I would think that people.
Well, no.
The runner-up is the cat from Captain Marvel.
In the bad bodysuit.
Captain Marvel is the runner-up for me.
Okay.
Jordan, who's your class clown?
This is funny because he's not super funny, but I think when I laughed the most was Steve Rogers actually had like more humor than he's had yet.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going like goofy, Nick Fury in Captain Marvel was like way goofy to me.
Okay.
Like that's how all his interactions with the cat, I was like, is this the same Nick Fury?
See, son, 168 episodes, and you still don't know how to play the game. She's a guest and gets it like right off the bat. Like immediately.
This is the first time we've ever played this class clown. Nice try, though. Nice try.
This goes in.
Nice try.
Who's your class clown, Hassan?
I don't want.
You don't want to play the game? That's it. You don't want to play this game?
Stubborn. I want to be moody and stubborn.
You're taking your ball and
yes. I would have to say.
No.
No, I'm playing.
That's
Stop
it.
it.
Stop
it. I'm playing. I would say Fat Thor.
Oh, yeah.
The class clown.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one a lot. All right.
Big Lebowski Thor. And runner-up is probably I keep forgetting the kid's name. The sidekick in Shazam.
Oh, the brother.
Yeah,
oh gosh,
I don't know his name either.
It's
Man,
Willie, right?
He was
Willie.
great though.
Yeah,
Isn't it Willie?
he was really good. And you know what? He was my emotional anchor to the film because the lead is he's kind of a blank slate.
Yeah.
Billy Batts is kind of a blank slate in the film, but
Wally. Isn't it Wally?
I don't know.
No
It's something. It's an alliterated name too. It's Wally Wilson or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's bad. We're
Wally
bad geeks.
Yeah.
We're bad geeks. We're bad geeks.
That is why we are a middling podcast, folks. Here we go.
Stop calling us that.
We'll say drama queen or king because we'll be very fair in this. Drama queen award.
Star-Lord, I think.
That's a good one. I like that. I like actually Iron Man. I was gonna go Iron Man as my drama.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, I was gonna go drama queen with was Iron Man. Hassan?
My drama queen, definitely Thanos. What?
Oh, yeah.
What a diva! I am inevitable. Stop it. Do something about your chin, jerk.
All right,
You're dribbling all over yourself.
2 more. Cutest couple award. Jordan, who's your cutest couple?
No.
God.
I think Steve and Peggy, like them, the way that, I mean, that's like so obvious, but that was really nice. Yeah. Hassan?
Cutest couple?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cutest couple. in the 4 movies,
yes, or
in the MCU in general?
No, in the 4 movie. Well, I mean, technically, the Avengers Endgame covers the majority of the MCU, so we'll allow it if it has some sort of context to Endgame.
I would say Thor and the Hulk, the cutest couple as far as I'm concerned. It leads in from Ragnarok all the way into Infinity War, all the way into it has a lead in. It
does. They have that scene. They do. They have that scene where they get together. Carol and her best friend, to me, were the cutest couple to me. I thought that was actually pretty nice in general. All right,
my runner-up would be Thor and Loki from Ragnarok. They were very.
Yeah, but that's Ragnarok. No. There's no context for that in Endgame. There's no scene. Hulk at least has a scene in Endgame, so we're in good shape.
So does Loki.
No, they don't.
Yeah, he grabs a Tesseract and he bugs out in the alternate timeline.
Yeah, but that's not really like...
He's got a scene in it. That's all. That's your requirement.
Yeah.
Stop it. Don't change the rules.
Life of the Party Award. I will kick us off for our final choice here. Life of the Party Award, I got to give to Spider-Man, actually. I love when he comes back on screen. I like it. It energizes the film. I like when he is tasked then with getting the glove out of there in general. Like every scene he's in, I think really he just comes to life in whatever he does. Tom Holland does an amazing job as always. Hassan, who's the life of the party? Hassan is the life of the party.
Yes, I am the life of the party. Probably again, I'm gonna have to go with Thor. Like just how he was a mess in Endgame, and he was, and the scenes with him in Asgard are just priceless.
Yeah,
that and his great line from Infinity War of "I see you copied my beard." I don't know why, but for some reason that makes me laugh every time I hear it. So I'm gonna go with Thor.
All right, Jordan, round us out here.
Yeah, this isn't exactly life of the party, but I feel like the 2 little girls, Lieutenant Trouble, I forget her actual name, and the younger sister in Shazam, like I feel like they didn't have huge parts, but every time everyone was obsessed with them. They had like such great humor, and they were so emotional for being like really, really young. I feel like they were the heroes of all the scenes they were in.
Yeah, when his secret was out, and she just, she says, "I didn't tell anybody,"
No, and she's so proud of herself.
I agree.
That got me right there. That got me where it counts.
Yeah, that's not really life of the party. That's like emotional.
Dear shit.
Yeah, totally.
What?
Just all the crying.
You know what else we're going to be shedding a tear for? When we go spinning the racks when we come back. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire, talking comics, movies, TV, and pop culture, as we do every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Download us on iTunes, download us on iHeart download us on Spreaker, download us on Stitcher. Anywhere podcasts can be downloaded, go ahead and just do a search for Secrets of the Sire. And again, give our YouTube channel a subscribe, give our Twitch channel a subscribe, a follow, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. Do all that. Help us out. We really do appreciate it. I want to thank our guest tonight, Miss Jordan Ellis. Again, Jordan, how do they find you online and find all your awesome stuff?
Yeah, I'm at Jordandené NYC or jordandené.com. And the Sartorial Geek is at Sartorial Geek everywhere and sartorialgeek.com.
Very cool. Well, we thank you for joining us. And we've got one more to go. We do this every week. We go spinning the racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
We're back. Our guest Jordan will rejoin us shortly. But first, New Mutants pushed back yet again. The release date will now open in 2020. You probably saw this coming, but the New Mutants release date has been pushed back again. The superhero horror film was supposed to arrive in April 2018, but was pushed to February 2019 and then August 2019. Now Disney is calling the shots. They've decided to bump it yet again to April 2020. The Josh Boone directed film, originally slated for April 2018. Even Macy Williams doesn't know when these things are going to come. She says, who knows when the F that's coming out. There were supposed to be reshoots to make it scarier, but they haven't actually taken place. Our thoughts on this, Hassan? Are we ever going to see a New Mutants movie?
I don't think so, and I'm glad because I've seen the trailers. It doesn't look like the New Mutants. I knew that I used to read.
It does. No, it reminds me of the Bill Sienkiewicz run of New Mutants, which is very, horror.
They were never in a mental asylum.
No, they weren't. I mean, I agree with that.
So stop. What are you talking about?
I'm saying the tone, the look and feel of the tone,
Bill
everything.
Sienkiewicz he did what? Less than a tenth of that comic run?
Yeah.
I used to read New Mutants. I was a serious New Mutant reader, and that just didn't look anything like the New Mutants to me. I read it all the way past from all the way from Asgardian Wars all the way over to past the Fall of Mutants when they lost Doug Ramsey, past Inferno. I mean, I've read that entire run, and I'm telling you that movie looked nothing like. It didn't look remotely like anything from New Mutants.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a blind, and when you watch the movie, you realize it really ties well in with the series. But if they want to, like the MCU has proven, if you want to do comic book movies, do comic books.
Yeah.
Do the actual stories. Stop taking these characters and throwing them into these unique situations where like they use it as fodder for has-been movie script writers. They give them, okay, here are these 5 characters. Write a horror story with the characters of the New Mutants in it.
Okay.
All the New Mutants, and that's what they've been doing.
We will see if it ever makes it out there for sure. Where is this coming from? Well, it turns out Disney announced their entire movie slate for the next 4 to 7 years, apparently. So in the process of doing so, though, they also announced 3 new Star Wars movies to premiere after The Rise of Skywalker. Now, they said they were taking a break from it, and in turn, they kind of are. The new Star Wars movie will not be out until 2022, which will actually give a 3-year gap between The Rise of Skywalker and the next Star Wars movie. Now, originally right now it's actually called Currently Untitled. Is this going to be the Game of Thrones movies we were talking about, or is this the Rian Johnston spinoff that's now not happening? What's your predictions sure to go wrong here, Hassan?
Who says that Rian Johnson spinoff is not happening?
there are rumors that that is not happening. That apparently nothing is being done. The only word we have of the new Star Wars up on the feature film now is this, untitled schedule that was just released yesterday, and has these movies kind of, just placed in terms of launch dates.
Yeah. So we don't know that it's not happening.
No, we don't, but we do know that the Game of Thrones folks are definitely still doing something after they wrap up Game of Thrones. So it's likely that they're going to, do this as well, right?
I don't know. Do you think it's the Game of Thrones stuff?
I'm hoping it is, actually. I'm hoping the Ryan Johnson stuff never sees the light of day. I really, I don't.
That's very different. That's a very different position than it's not going to happen. You're just hoping it doesn't happen.
No. I mean, we've read some stuff. There was a couple Spin the Racks we did where the feedback for Last Jedi kind of had Disney do a course correction on what they were doing. Now, I mean, obviously Star Wars itself is taking a breather from the big screen. You have The Mandalorian coming out on Disney Plus, but that's about it.
We also read that Kathleen Kennedy was getting fired. That
I didn't take any.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, we don't know.
The Ryan Johnson rumors for me were actually valid because people were saying I was involved in this in shooting this film, and now I'm not involved in shooting the film anymore because the film is not there to be shot. They were talking to certain people within.
I'm sure there's a distinct possibility that his movies have been canceled.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying that we don't know that. So to say that these movies aren't going to happen is a little false.
Little Avatar news as well thrown in there. It's amazing. They just basically kind of released the slate, and now it's been fodder around the internet for people to pick and choose what they noticed from here. Obviously, there's Untitled Marvel film coming out next year. We have one coming out over the July 4th weekend. We have one in 2 years in the February slot. So you wonder if that's where Deadpool kind of makes its reappearance as well. But that's not next year. It's the year after. Avatar as well was mentioned in all this because Avatar falls under the Fox-Disney merger. They announced the 4 upcoming Avatar sequels will each be pushed back, with Avatar 2 slated to premiere December 17th, 2021, which is now a full year after it was originally scheduled. All we know, I think at this point, is that we know nothing. We just have release dates. And as we've seen with New Mutants, even that could change. All right, we're going to welcome back our guest, Jordan, for our last story. Welcome back. And how Europe's war on social media could impact Hollywood. This is a complete paradigm shift. This is from Hollywood Reporter. We're talking some serious stuff here. Europeans' copyright crackdown could weaken protections. The copyright directive is far-reaching and has widespread and sharply different implications for different sections of the entertainment industry, as well as online platforms and ordinary users. One of the most radical changes is outlined in Article 17 of the directive. It reverses current law, making online platforms and not their users legally liable for copy-protected songs, films, TV series, and other content uploaded to their sites. Yes, this is a little bit outside of our scope, but I found this article. I just thought it was really, really interesting. And basically, I don't really care what our audience thinks. I'm just going to do whatever I want, and we're going to talk about this. This is interesting, right? Here's 5 online activities that could change under the new European law. You know, anything that happens in Europe is going to end up impacting us, and as podcasters, it's kind of greatly of interest. From memes to cat videos, the EU copyright legislation could impact anyone using the internet to post or share content online. Movie clips. Example, a YouTube star mocks a scene from the new Avengers movie using a clip from the film. Going forward, platforms like YouTube will be legally liable if their users post unlicensed content, like a movie clip. Most expect YouTube will sign deals with big studios and record labels to make sure none of their content gets blocked. Music. A comedian posts a parody of the new Beyonce song to his own site using the same melody as the original. Depends on how popular the comedian is. Smaller sites will continue to operate under old laws, having to license or take down content only if the right holders ask them to. And here's a good one as well, too. News stories. You tweet a comment to a news story, quoting the original story at length. Twitter, Google News, Facebook, and other platforms will be required to pay a link tax if users' posts include more than a short snippet from an original news article. Memes are under this new copyright law as well, too. This thing could be the death of the meme, as many are writing. Personal photos or videos. Hassan, what do you think about this? Do you think
I got no problem with it whatsoever?
Yeah. So it's weird because people are basically, if you're a creator, you're like, this is awesome. Finally, I can actually post a song again. And
without it being stolen.
Without it being stolen or listened to. Right.
Yeah.
But the free internet people are kind of like, this is
too bad. The free internet, the whole point of your statement was they were the free internet people. They've been stealing stuff for years, you know?
Yeah.
And they've been making money off of it. If they were just using the paraphernalia just as a social commentary or something like that, that'd be fine. Or as a blog, or as some kind of political essay or something like that. But they're out there doing movie reviews, getting clicks and views, which makes them money. And the people who actually make the product that they're reviewing don't get a cut of it. That doesn't make any sense.
But if you're reviewing a movie, why should the studio get a cut of that? I don't understand that part. There's certain elements to it that just doesn't make sense to me.
In the original days, whenever you were going to have something reviewed, regardless of what the review would be, you would be the one to send them the copy that they would review. So if you were going to have clips of a movie reviewed by, let's say, like Siskel and Ebert, you would send them the clips.
Right.
Now, you don't have any control over what they say about it.
Right.
You had control over the material that they covered. Right? You submitted it for review. So now, if anybody could just grab any movie and make a review off of it, and then make do a hit piece, like a long essay on whether the film was good or bad, which is perfectly fine. But they they made their video exciting.
Yeah.
By using moving pictures and sounds and bites and stuff like that from the film to spruce up the entertainment value of their essay. And the studio doesn't get a piece of it, and they didn't sanction it.
Yeah,
completely. It's
so you're saying
unauthorized.
We're done with this video of Secrets of the Sire. Secrets of the Sire is done. I'm gonna have to actually have you animate everything we talk about now. So basically, this is gonna increase.
Well, if you use pictures, there's something called the Fair Use Act. If pictures are actually on the internet. They're free on the internet, then you could use those pictures.
Yeah.
That's fair use. But if there's a movie that's out in the theaters now and you have exclusive footage to it,
yeah,
that's not fair use. That's licensed property up until it becomes, public domain. So it's not right.
Jordan,
I just don't have a problem with it. That's all.
Any thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I agree with all the times that it is rough to have your intellectual property being used in ways that you don't want it to be and not getting money off it. It's interesting though, I feel like especially as far as memes go, again, sometimes they're bad, but that's also so much publicity for things too that I'm kind of curious, certain movies and TV shows that didn't get a lot of actual marketing put into them, but were popular because people shared clips or funny things or memes. I'm wondering how that will affect. They'll be affected. I wonder if that'll be a negative.
Captain Marvel make $1 billion if there are groups out there protesting the fact that it's out there on YouTube, showing clips, showing photos? It's very true.
I am absolutely certain that there are unforeseen negatives to it. There has to be. The status quo of the way things have been working for now, it's still working for the studios. It's still, they're still making money. So, however you upset the apple cart, it's going to mess with their money a little bit. I just think as a creator, and as a person who knows various creators, I just think getting a little bit of control of the content again can't be a bad thing. It's got to be a good thing.
There will be a fine line. All right. Well, we got very heavy with our last segment, and
that's your fault.
That's my fault. So next week, let's get even heavier. The countdown is on to the final Game of Thrones. Will it live up to the hype, or will it fall apart like the Night King's Long Johns when Arya stabbed him? Want to thank our guest, Jordan Ellis. Thank you so much. Hassan, as always, thank you. And thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week.